Okay guys, today we are going to be taking a look at this 2012 BMW 528. It's actually one of my cars that I am fixing up, and I am chasing a headlight operation issue. Little backstory, the headlight modules were burnt up on these both headlights from water intrusion. And now that I've gotten replacement modules, I still have no operation. And so what we've got going on as far as the headlights, the blinkers in both fronts do not operate. The low beam, high beam do operate now that I have installed the headlight modules. But again, we are now still left with trouble codes and error messages and so on and so forth. So I want to get this rectified, and I'm going to bring you guys along. Now, these headlights here are actually from a customer's vehicle that we did, I believe it was last month. But it's the same style and setup. That one was a 5 Series as well. And his main problem was, again, water damage. His lights would not operate, but they would condensate a lot. A lot of water buildup would be inside of them. And when we took it apart, you can clearly see that a ton of water was being built up in there. And the main module goes in here. This is the body harness connector that all the communication stuff going into the light occur. Or as far as, if you can tell, all that green corrosion, and then in those slots in the middle, that is where the modules go in. So these are some examples of these modules. This is what they look like, and just water damaged. Looks like they've gotten hot at some point. There's those basically pins that'll slide in those slots, and this one here, you can tell, burnt up something. So 2 of these are from one each here, and a third one is from this vehicle here. I think I threw away the 4th one, but again, water damage in the module portion of my vehicle as well. And so I've got these here because I was trying to just get an idea of the makeup internally and so on and so forth. So we'll get to that point. But usually at some point I can get away with just replacing the module itself and things would start working. Now, I ordered 2 of these modules. Here's the second one. Installed them and still had the same error message and a trouble code for no communication with these modules. Yes, I know, understand that it is an off-brand, but not a brand that I've had much issues with in the past. But being that both modules, both sides, same no communication code, I thought was kind of odd. So next move was to get the correct factory module, which there you can tell this is a factory module. And oddly enough, the board does look a little bit different. But nonetheless, this was installed, and still no communication with those modules was the trouble code. So now I am left with trying to find out what is going on. So right now, just to get you a shot. So there is one module right there installed. That's the aftermarket one. And then we'll bring you along to this driver's side. Right now in the moment, I do not have a module installed. And I'm gonna get you a shot of the trouble code. So here we go. Here are the trouble codes. Now, if you can tell or read, so let's see, left side and then right side. I clearly showed you one is installed and one is not, and we have the same trouble code. It makes no difference if they are both installed or not. It's acting as if they're not installed. So the FRM is not seeing the headlight modules in the car. That's the trouble codes we're getting. And then some of those error messages related to the lighting. Now, something that I did want to point out, and this is just to clarify the system, and I'll show you how. Let's go ahead and turn on the light. So there we go. And we have headlight operation. And you might be confused as to what's going on, but I will explain. We do have that one still removed as far as the module. That one's still installed. Here, I'll show you right away. Still on. And removed. And so we have the low beams. So as you can see, we get light operation, except for we have our left side blinker on, and we have nothing here. So the telltale sign of no headlight module communication is the headlight in the front not working, and it's the same for both sides. But we still do get operation of the headlights and low beam, high beams, so on and so forth. So I will show you and explain what's going on. So basically what that has to do with, as far as why we get the light operation, is how they design the makeup or structure operation. So this is just a quick shot of service information, the makeup of the style of headlight that we do have. Keep in mind there are different setups. This is a bi-xenon with some LEDs. There are complete LED systems, and that's a different setup as far as the wiring and operations, so on and so forth. So this is for the xenons, and if you just look through all of that, and basically what I ended up getting off of this is this main thing as far as the makeup of how it works. So this guy here is the headlight module that I am talking about. All of this is controlled by a separate main module, which they call the FRM. That's the main controller for all the headlight operation. This is a sub-module that responds to the FRM's commands and then controls certain lights. If you look here at this portion, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, they're all separate lines from here, not dealing with this module. These go directly to the FRM. Those are controlled directly from the FRM. And if you look at 1, 2, 3, 4, so cornering light, side lights, daytime driving, bi-xenon flat, the bi-xenon headlight, and low beam, high beam, low beam. That is where we're getting our actual headlight operation. And then it's also controlling the xenon control module for the xenon lights. So that is how we are getting actual headlights. As far as 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, so side marker, position light, turn indicator, stepper motor, all of those things are controlled by the module in the headlight. So for what we are seeing, our basically symptom, is our turn indicator number 8, which is controlled here by the module. That's what we're physically not seeing, along with the error messages, and it's because this module here is not being seen by the FRM, which communicates on this LIN bus. Okay, so don't make fun of me with this crude description and wiring diagram. It's just to simplify the system and help you explain how it's made up. Now, this goes for pretty much a lot of the newer vehicles, even on domestic Asian or whatnot. There has to be a system in place pretty much similar to this. FRM, this is going to be our main actual light module inside the car. It's going to receive switch inputs, commands from the driver or the user. It'll see it, and then it'll output to a headlight module to turn on lights side to side, or like we have here, it'll have independent control of actual headlights and then separate, sign markers or whatnot. In order for this to work, you have to have your B plus and then your ground, along with a command line, which here is a LIN. Sometimes you can have a CAN as well, or just usually it'll be a LIN or a CAN. The complete LEDs, I believe, use both LIN and CAN, but for now, for this one, to control this or give commands to this, it is a LIN. If the LIN is broken or no power or no ground, then it's not going to see this. This will throw trouble codes for the module missing via LIN, and then that is what we are left, and so that's what we have to diagnose. I'm going to tap into the LIN, because if you see LIN activity on this line, that's coming from the FRM. This is just going to receive it. If there's activity here, then we know that this FRM is good. Then we have to verify and make sure that this module can wake up and work by having good power and ground. If that's present, and we have command on the LIN, then we can determine that the module's bad. But we know these are bad. This most likely is not bad. That one is probably not bad. And this one's probably not bad. So then what are you left with? Now we go down the line. We're going to have to check the actual headlight, or the point past the module, because if this is working, if that's present, and this is new and good, then the problem has to be past that, which is then going to be something in these units, and those are not cheap. So I don't want to make any type of wrong calls going forward, being that it's not an actual module problem. So the first thing that I wanted to test based off of what I just explained is I am tapped into the LIN bus. So since the code is related to not seeing the module on the LIN, I want to see if there's activity basically from the FRM, and if there's activity on the LIN, like I said. The thing that I'm thinking about is, because basically when modules short out, I've had it happen in the past, they can take out things up the line, and so you want to determine if the FRM is what is damaged or burnt up. Again, we want to try to make the right call now. So I'm simply just going to open, actually, I just put my hand on the handles. These are little antenna modules, whatnot, and it woke up the vehicle, and that was enough to create activity, LIN bus activity. So there we go. So open it, clearly we'll have that. Yes, I know, I understand we don't have the module in there, but it doesn't really make a difference, as we've shown that side module's in, this side's not. No difference on the code, and it all has to do because the LIN bus signal is coming in here through the body harness to the main connector of the headlight assembly, and then it has to make its way internally through the harness that then gets attached to, there's 3 socket sections, we'll call it. Big one, the middle one, and that outer one. So in one of those sections is the LIN bus going into the module at one of these points, and that's how it can talk and communicate and see this guy and give commands. So being that we do have activity on that line, since we do have activity, we know it's getting here. Now we have to, at this point, assume that it's going to be possibly something with the headlights. And what sucks is that it has, it's going to be for both headlights, which is, it's, I guess, kind of odd, but not seeing the extent of damage. But before fully determining that it's internally to the headlight, that it's not being seen, we have to make sure we're getting power and ground at this connector that is also for this guy here. And just a quick shot of the portion for the module. So this is the headlight assembly. Internally, that is that module. That there's the blinker. And so here is that LIN bus. This is going to be the power. That's going to be the ground. So we're going to check pin 9 and 11 because we already know what pin 10 has, and kind of go from there. Okay, so I'm checking again for power and ground, and I've got my leads on the corresponding pin, so it's what, 9 and 11. And I know a lot talk about load testing, but if I will load test if I need to load test. So let's just look at that there, make sure I'm still connected. All right, I can't remember when we're supposed to have power, but let's open the door. There we go. Looks like we've got power. So that's a good sign as far as the FRM. Let's turn on the car. And so we have power. Again, I know you're supposed to load test, but at this time, I am going to look and see what step to do next. All right, guys. So I ended up sacrificing one of these, which was from, the previous vehicle, which there was pretty much no hope on these because of how bad the water corrosion was in them. So what I wanted to do was to trace out from the main connector over to this socket pad, basically, and see where my powers, grounds, and the LIN bus went, just so that I can start to try to gather an idea of what is wrong with this these headlights, which that is out of there. I still have that one there. So I want to learn from this to see what I can figure out on this one. So we've got those 3 pins. So it's 9, 10, 11. 9 is power, 10 is LIN, 11 is ground. And it is these 3 black wires chasing them down, which you can tell how much corrosion. So this is a junction, a splice, but the wires ended up coming out of there. But I was able to trace and figure them out before I lost track, because there's a lot of black wires. But I ended up cutting back some of the insulation to try to ohm out and figure out. So basically, these are power feeds, and they go to both the outside pins. So that's the power, and the second one in on both sides is actually the ground. So this guy here, that's a ground, and then that guy there, that's a ground. So it's 2 powers, 2 grounds, and then our LIN bus is this black wire here. So it's the 5th one in there in the middle. So with that, I started to try to figure out what happened on this one, and I ended up also pulling this. Sits in there and it pops out. And what I found on this one, if you look to the left, basically the damage that happens is on the outer edges where the power and ground are. You can tell by some discoloration there to the far right, and the same there. And also, if I look at the modules here on the far ends, it's nice and colored, it's cooked, and oddly enough here also, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So right around the 5, 6 pin there, which is 5th pin is the LIN bus, but there's some color there. And if we look at another module, again, towards the outer edges, colored, and oddly enough, again, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, somewhere near the LIN bus. This one I ended up taking out of the carrier, but let's see, so outer edges again, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Similar situation. So that, since it is a pulsed 12 volt to ground, there is some voltage there. I'm wondering if that's why you're seeing arcing and stuff on the LIN bus pin area. So with that, knowing that issue is towards the power and ground, I then get this guy, and not sure how we'll be able to see it, but you can see there on the right, it's discolored, and there towards the left as well, and they're sort of in the middle where there's some green crusties. That's somewhere near the LIN bus area. But what I found, and so here on the right, hopefully you can tell the outermost pin towards the right. The pin's basically broken or missing, and that is true on both sides. Sure, let's see. So what happens is the outer power pin seems to burn up and either break off or just no longer make contact with the module pin. And so it's not necessarily the LIN bus, but looks like we're not powering up the module, which obviously takes it off the LIN bus. That's how we are generating our trouble code. Just quickly, I will show you. So let's see, 9, 10, 11. 11 is ground, and if you hear that, that's we're gonna ohm out. And so the second one in, that's the ground. The ground pin's still good there. Let's see. So it's hard with no light, but you can hear it beeping. So the ground pin is good on left side, right side, whichever side. And then just for reassurance, let's go to pin 10. That is our LIN bus. And it's the fifth one over here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So our LIN bus is still good as far as the pins. The ground pins are good. It's the power pins that are missing. So I'm going to try and clean up a little bit of the little crusties there and figure out what I can come up with. Okay, so I'm just sitting here dabbling, trying to see if I can make something happen with what I've got here. Again, this is my vehicle, so I'm just playing around to see if I can get something to happen. So again, here is the outer pin. Two outer pins are the power. They are tied into each other. And then if we go this outer pin to that dot there, that's also a power feed. So I've got 3 power feed points available there on the board. So I'm not sure yet exactly what I'm going to do. Maybe I'll try something. And just to show you, looks like this guy here is a major player because that is a power feed to it. And then that there is the LIN. And the LIN goes to it. So obviously, and I'm going to assume, let's see, ground. There we go. So this guy has power, ground, and a LIN going to it. So that guy there is a major player on how this operates. But not sure what's going on. So let me see if I can brainstorm something. Okay guys, so I've managed to clean that as best as I can. I ended up taking this brush and angling it to where I can get in there. Sprayed it off and then blew some air to get as much dirty stuff out of there. So let's see. So there on the end, looks like the pins are just gone. They're all the way to the left on the bottom, but the rest seem to be there good and okay. And then of course there's our other trouble area. Pins seem to be gone all the way to the right. So I'm gonna put this module in with the modification and see what happens. Okay, so I've got the headlight kind of just hanging there, and then there's the two wires coming out of the module with that alligator clip, and then they are going to that green and black power wire, which I am just touching on the copper I've opened up. Headlight is plugged in. I'm going to turn it on for the first time. Let's see what happens. And we're going to hit the blinker. Alright, so we've been messing around with these. Again, I was going to attempt to create a harness for the module here because the problem seems to be inside the headlight with the pin connector. If you remember this, both sides did not communicate. I've removed the aftermarket one and installed the factory BMW on this side, and this one is still the aftermarket one here. So if we turn it on, and actually just to explain, I've tapped into the two outer, that's the power, and I'm jumping power there, and I've got this harness which the ground pins are still good and present, and so is the bus pin, and so they are installed into the car's harness. There's the power feeding the module. We do have ground and bus, so this should communicate because we're able to feed it power. And so if we look now, let's see. So now we have communication on the left side and also on the right side. All right, so now as you can see, obviously, like I said, we have communication on both sides. Before we had zero communication with both of the aftermarket modules in, which it's a little weird right now because we have one aftermarket communicating and one factory one communicating. But obviously these other codes I've set because the headlight is removed. So all on the left side. So for now, we're gonna go ahead and install the aftermarket light with the jumper harness into the actual headlight assembly. We're gonna leave the factory one on the other side. We're gonna code both of them and see if it starts working properly. Being that this side now is communicating also with the factory one, this tells us the power pins and everything are present and have not been damaged to the point where the harness in the headlight is bad. Okay, headlights installed. There's the jumper wire with the module with the pigtails coming out. And now we'll see if we get any communication. And we do, so it's back to intermittent. Let's see if we can clear these because the whole unit is plugged in. So the coding was not able to be done. This is the error message that we get. So there's something going on with the FRM, because if I try to clear the codes, it gets stuck and doesn't ever clear. I have to reset the scan tool. And then after receiving this message, it took forever to try to code the headlight modules, and it's not doing it. So there's something else going on with the FRM. Okay, so just for giggles, I'm gonna try and do actual full programming of the FRM. See if that kind of restores it. Hoping it didn't get damaged when the headlight module shorted out. So I'm gonna back out of here. We're gonna go into actual programming and see what that does. Okay, so at this point, it looks like the FRM does have some sort of issue. Clearly, you could see that we are unable to go through the procedure of getting these coded, the headlight modules, and the FRM cannot execute a fault clearing procedure. It just gets stuck in limbo. It just, like the little circle for the progress, it doesn't get out of that mode. I actually have to restart the scanner to get it out of that mode. So it looks like the FRM did end up taking some sort of hit, meaning not necessarily a fully electrical damaging itself unoperational, but some sort of issue with the logic, it looks like. And so it's not fully dead. Obviously, we can communicate with it. It can display us trouble codes. It does still operate the LIN bus. It can see if these guys talk or not. It's like it's unable to execute actions during the actual programming, where I try to kind of bring it back to life. You could see an error message in the window initialization procedure. It was unable to perform that, which it's controlled by the FRM. And then again, all the other things it cannot execute, like coding these or clearing fault memory. So there's just something wrong with the FRM, but it was something that was trying to avoid, or hoping that I would avoid, but it does look like we've got some multiple issues. You can't fix one without having to fix the other. So again, I'm kind of just taking steps, starting with the obvious down here with the headlights, with the burnt modules, then fixing the wiring internally there, getting that back brought up, communicating and working, doing the module in that headlight, that's talking. Now we just got to get the this guy here, the actual FRM brought back to life or replaced. As far as what do I mean about brought back to life, so this is a newer, different FRM version than the E90 or E70s that I've been doing or have videos on that you can basically bring back to life when they're fully dead. But this is, again, a newer version, and not sure, or I wasn't sure if it was going to be possible to do anything like the old style or the other style FRM. But to my surprise, after doing some research, the Autel does have an option for this style FRM. And so I think I'm going to explore and attempt to go through the repair procedure and see if that can get this fully operational. Okay, so there is a shot of the connection diagram, and there we are all set up. So now we will go through this procedure. Let's see, back out. Okay, so before I do the repair procedure, I want to go through this section and read the information and save that. Okay, let's see. Okay, so we'll go ahead and let's see if we can read it. This will tell us if our connections are made correctly. All right, so we've got some data there. Let's go ahead and save this. All right, so that's the D flash. Let's see if we can get a P flash. Okay, so we've now read the P flash. This one takes longer to read. It's bigger file or information. I'll go ahead and save this one as well. Now I'm doing this just out of safety measures. You don't know if you will need any of the original info before continuing forward. So we'll get that saved, which we do now. Let's see. Back out. So we've read D flash, P flash. Out of curiosity, let me see if the P flash has the VIN. And this is all the information prior to going through that repair procedure that we will see if it will do anything or change anything. Okay, there it is. That D106677, that is the last 7 of the VIN. And just like the older FRMs, the VIN is stored towards almost all the way at the bottom. So that's just a little piece of info. Let's go ahead and back out. And let's go ahead and attempt to do the repair. We'll do instead of the manual way, we'll do it with what's built in the tool. So you start off with finding, you go, so in order to do repair, you go to programmer, accept, then you pick chip, read write, and then this is the section where you go into body repair, BMW, and we are gonna pick this FRM series. It's listed as F01, but it's the XET512. So that's the one we'll pick. And this tells you that it's gonna automatically partition it. So we will hit OK. Again, I've already shown you the diagram, but this is where you get it. That's where we are, and that is that XET512. That's the same chip style that we have here. So we've made our connections again. We said let's go ahead and get this going, see if it will do a repair. So we just hit start. Okay, so it pulls this. Now I am going to save it because this is how it makes the repair. I'm just calling it repair. Repair data, let's call it. As you can tell, it's not telling us whether it's D flash or P flash. So that's why I'm just calling it that. Let's go ahead. Oh, there on the top says it's doing the recover. All right. Let's see. We'll hit OK. And so supposedly now we have gone through and done a repair on this, so we can plug it back in the car and see what it does. Just out of curiosity, I want to do a read of the chip again and compare the info on the I'll just do the D flash. So it's F series, it's the XET. Okay, we'll do that. D flash, okay. Blah, blah, blah. So I'm gonna read this and save it as after repair type of data, and I can compare the two. And I have it set to where it reads it twice, because it'll compare the first read with the second read. If both reads match up, it'll bring up this info that it has read. So we'll save it. Okay, so we're gonna open up my original, or the one before the repair. So let's see, that one. And so keep in mind, these just either the first line, first two lines, whichever, just keep that mental kind of picture there. And then let's see. Okay, as far as the VIN, let's call it 7668. All right. So look, right away, the first line, first two lines, or this whole section, already different data. And so 7668, we've got a totally different VIN number. So it's a C419528. So we clearly have different information on our D flash. So now again, that at least verifies there's some sort of change here on the module. We'll go ahead and get this disconnected, put back together. I did expect to possibly do some coding, possible programming and coding when installing it. It's no different than what the Autel does, even with a different style, the older FRM. So we might still possibly have to do programming code, which is fine, but hopefully that'll change. But let's see what happens. So again, there's the VIN number, and if we look that up, punching that in, it right there, up top, right there, it pulls up some info for, it's a 730, first of all, in the European market with an N52. So it's an FO2 7 Series, 2010 or 11, and just very odd. But it has loaded info from this vehicle on there now. Okay, so I've got the FRM installed back in the car. It's right here on the kick panel, like they have been in the past. Let's see. There. So it's plugged in. I don't have bolted in, but I am already pretty much set up to do programming with the Ethernet cable, all that. And just one of the things I've not ever on the F chassis installed. Basically, this is like installing a used module in FRM. So let's see what happens. I'm not sure if there's manipulation dots or whatnot to deal with. And let's see if it'll do a programming and coding and basically overwrite the VIN number. If not, we can always try to use the hex edit to change the VIN, but let's try to go with regular programming and see what it does. I still have not keyed it up. It's just plugged in. Let me get a battery maintainer before I continue. Okay, I've got the maintainer connected. Let's go ahead and key this up, see what happens. See if there's any weird messages. Airbag is, I have the knee airbag turned off. Okay, so beforehand we did not have tail lamp messages. We didn't have window messages. We didn't have that before, or that. Not sure about that, but okay, bunch of crazy messages. There's no manipulation dot by the mileage, but I can't remember if this generation even would pop up a manipulation dot. So let's start a new session. So we're pulling the correct VIN, so it's not getting it from the FRM. We'll hit OK. Hit OK, and I'm gonna do a complete scan at first. Okay, so right now, let's see. I'm not liking this one here. These two show us that the modules are talking. But keep in mind, we do on the left side have the aftermarket module. So I doubt this will clear. Now, this will be a sign about how the module will act compared to before. Beforehand, it would stay stuck on trying to erase. Okay, let's see. So before it would just stay stuck on that notion there. So not too confident anymore, since it won't even clear messages. Alright guys, so up to this point you can see that we are not able to get the modules to calibrate. I started kind of blaming it on the actual FRM. The tool actually kind of blames it on the FRM, tells you to replace it. Even ended up, trying to do a MCU repair of the flash and so on and so forth. Reinstall that. I don't even think I filmed that, but Guess what? No change, no difference, no nothing. It still does the same thing. Still gives me the same error message. I did end up coding it because, as we saw, it had a different VIN number and different kind of like a package setup. So I did code it. It became now proper as far as equipment wise. And then still after that, it still would not initialize. And so after that, I went ahead and I got a separate, different FRM, which is right here. I went this morning to the yard, picked this up, installed it, and same thing. It made no difference, and I was for sure thinking that the original FRM was the problem. And no change. And at that point, I couldn't believe that two were doing the same thing. One from a completely different vehicle doing the same thing. So after that, I started to think: is it my tooling? Is it the Autel just not going further and performing the procedure? So I got in the car, went to my friend's shop, and used their tool, which they have the topped on, and I went through the same calibration procedure. And again, no difference. It stays, kind of locked in trying to what they call communicate with the headlight modules, and after so long, it times out and it says it can't communicate with them, and to replace the FRM. Same error message. Two different tools, two different FRMs, no change. So where am I going next? If you remember, I've got one aftermarket module in the driver's side with the pigtails, and I've got one factory on the passenger side. Up to this point, it looks like the FRM talks to them because we are not getting the LIN communication bus code issues for either light. And also, when it doesn't communicate, the blinker starts off slow and then it goes quick for both sides. If the FRM doesn't see the modules, that's a dead giveaway. And up to this point, it flashes them slow because it sees the module, supposedly, and it doesn't have the LIN bus code because, again, it sees it. But I am almost wondering if you remember in the beginning, I was having the LIN communication problem with both aftermarket modules installed. Right now, only one is installed, and we've somehow got rid of that code with one of those same modules that was supposedly not talking before. So basically what I am getting at is I am wondering if the FRM has some background type of visualization that it sees somehow a non-factory module, and it spits out that message that it can't communicate with the modules during the initialization programming procedure. So after I left my friend's went and picked up another factory module. I'm gonna go ahead and install that on the driver's side where the aftermarket one is and perform the same exact thing. And I'm hoping and wondering if that's what the whole issue is, that they're both not factory and it just spits out that message that it can't see them. Okay, so I've got the other factory module installed there on the driver's headlight. I am hoping to do this for the last time. I hope that's all that it is, because at this point, it's getting very frustrating. So technically, we should only be needing to do the calibration through the service function. No actual coding or anything of the FRM. All right, and I probably should have just gone straight to service function, but let's see what codes we have in the FRM. Hopefully just the initialization ones and not any LIN communication. All right, let's see. Report. Let's go down. Okay, so initialization left, initialization right, both permanent. That's what I expect. These windows I am okay with. Okay, so these are set from when I actually drove. When I drove the vehicle, I unplugged the headlight when I went to my friend's shop and to pick up the parts. So, and because they're intermittent, so that's fine. Let's back out and go to the service function and go straight to doing the initialization, body, lighting, initialize. So here goes nothing. There we go. We've got a different message now. I knew it. That's all that it was this whole time. Those aftermarket modules just causing the headache. Crazy. There you go. That's all it should that's all it should take. Perfect. Wow. So, again, we were being tricked. FRM issue because we didn't have LIN bus codes anymore because the modules were being seen. Start takes about 10 seconds. Okay. But then when you go to do a procedure, it says that this doesn't see them, but it doesn't specify a side, a left or a right. It would just say TMS. And then it says replace this. But that when two of these did the same, I knew that it had to have been a language type of thing, not necessarily the maker of the tool, because two separate tools displayed the same message. It's what's written in here to be displayed in the way it was displayed when it's seen an aftermarket or not proper, let's say, module. Okay, so I was just reading through that. So let's see. Ignition is on. Turn the lamps off and on. So they've been off the whole time. Let's see. I'll go to on. There we go. We get that orange side marker, which we never had. Off. Let's see. So finally, we know for sure that our wire repair is correct. We don't need to buy a whole headlight. That other side, the wiring and pins are fine. We just needed correct, proper OEM headlights. Not headlights, headlight modules. Sorry, this I'm fumbling because I'm just astonished and frustrated, so on and so forth. Let me cycle the key. Hopefully that's not anything serious. Let's actually go and clear the fault memory. Okay, no more light error message. We'll do the same thing. As it's doing that, let's turn on these lights. Okay, so we already knew we had that operational, but this never was. So that's on. And there we go. So we are getting proper control. Let's see. Looks like the halo is on this one. And it might not be on this one. I wonder if that's what that error message was, which at that point, that's fine. We can take care of that. Let's see. So, report. The bigger thing is trouble codes and if the blinkers will work, because before they weren't. So, okay, intermittent. Let's see. That's intermittent. I'm going to clear it. And yes, I'll have to initialize the windows, so on and so forth. After I clear it, I'll check the blinkers. Obviously, I've got the knee airbag off here because of doing work with the getting access to the FRM. Alright, so we're done with clearing the codes. Let's double check what's left. Okay, so we are having a halo light bulb issue. That's no biggie for me right now. And then the windows deal. That's fine. Perfect. And we'll check the passenger side. Oh, there you go. Stupid, stinking aftermarket headlight modules that are supposed to be supposedly good or an option and whatnot. It's all a bunch of BS. I am going to definitely talk to my parts rep and let him know what I've been dealing with.